that men who are successful, a lot of them have been through enough for me to trust them more in a high pressure situation. And like I said, this comes with massive responsibility. This comes with massive detriments and downsides, right? And the feminists are like, no, you're controlling. It's not about controlling. It's about duty. There was no feminist on the Titanic. Then men can die. There's no feminists to this day in Ukraine. The Ukrainian women can leave. You'll see them partying in Warsaw and Prague. Ukrainian men can't leave the country. They're dying in a ditch. They have to stay and fight. Not a single feminist is demanding that the women stay and fight. Not a single one. They don't give a fuck when it turns real. Once it turns hot, then it's woohoo, straight to, what do you want, a sandwich? Sure. Well, what do you want a sandwich, sir? What do you need? Then it all goes back. The closer you are to the real world, the closer people instantly get into their gender roles, because otherwise they get annihilated in real time. That's another thing I said when I was getting called misogynistic and I was arguing with feminists. I said, traditionally, men are the leaders. And in ancient societies, men were in charge. That's because men are oppressive. You've oppressed us forever. That's their narrative. Their narrative is that we've oppressed women forever. I said, no. We've protected and provided for you forever. The reason we are leaders is because if we align with our gender roles, a man's more likely to lead, and that gives us a more competitive chance. In the olden world, where all the empires were currently fighting, if you're not as competitive as possible, you're going to be annihilated. I would argue that perhaps there were some civilizations where women were in charge, but we don't know who they are, and we can't discuss their history because they were fucking annihilated in real time by the ones where the men were in charge. Because you are hyper competitive. You're at your optimum when men are in charge. That's just the optimum of the gender roles. That's the way it works. I don't believe we've been oppressing you since the dawn of human time. I disagree. I believe we've been working hard, protecting, providing for you. If men were truly oppressive to women, why don't we send the women to war? Women on women, it's fair, right? We can send all the women to war in Ukraine, all the women to war in Russia. They can die, and we can sit and we can chill and we can go to Warsaw and drink vodka. We don't do that. The men of Ukraine and the men of Russia are dying to protect their women. And then they want to sit and say that we're bad. It's a completely skewed worldview. Whenever they come along and say that we're oppressive and that we have the most money and all this bullshit, it's a lie. We are going out of our way and giving up our lives to protect and provide. And this is where it comes to some of the other things that they said against me. I've said a man has a degree of authority over something he has responsibility for. They took this and they used it and said that I think that men have authority over women. It's not what I said. I said, if I have responsibility for something, I must have a degree of authority over that thing. If I have a car, for it to be parked in the wrong place or for me to drive too fast, whatever, for me to be responsible for the actions of that car, it must be my car. If it's parked in the wrong place, but it's not mine and I'm not allowed to drive it, then I'm not held accountable. For me to be accountable, I have to have responsibility. By extension, that gives me a degree of authority. So what I was saying is, if a woman comes to me and lives with me and I pay the bills, and she travels the world with me and she flies on jets and we go to boats and she's taken care of, I'm responsible for her safety if we walk the street at night. I ensure her life is in perfect order. I have a degree of authority where I can say, you're not going to go out at night by yourself. It's dangerous. Or we're not going to go to this country right now. It's dangerous. That's a degree of authority that I have that comes with my responsibility from a protective manner. That does not mean I am oppressive. That does not mean I'm misogynistic. It just means that responsibility and accountability are linked and they can't be decoupled. A captain goes down with the ship because the captain is responsible for what happens on the ship. If the captain gives orders and everyone ignores him, then he doesn't go down with the ship, does he? He has authority because he is responsible. The two things are the same. And once again, people have misunderstood what I've said. And that's what I said. In a healthy relationship, perhaps in my relationships, let's talk from a personal perspective because then I can't be attacked. In my relationships, I am responsible for the emotional security and for the physical security and the fiscal responsibility, the fiscal security of any woman I'm with. And by extension, I have a degree of authority over her to make sure that we as a couple proceed and progress in the best possible way. It's not going to be 50-50 if I'm in charge of the most important things. It's going to be like, listen, I love you very much. I respect what you're saying. And you're totally right about this. But on this one point, I'm sorry, I'm going to be the man. We're doing it this way.
Well, you got in trouble because, by the way, we're here. Like, I think we're all here. But you've gotten in trouble because the analogy you use is like you compare women to children or to animals and say, I have responsibility over my child or over my dog. And then people take the short clip and like, he thinks that women are like children or women like animals.
Well, the children one was actually interesting because that was a slightly different one. With children, I was making a joke and it was semi-satirical. But like all my things, I'm not allowed to make jokes anymore because Zuckerberg gets upset and deletes me. But I made a joke saying that when I travel quickly, I like to travel with just men. If I'm going to a place for a week, I'll take women. Fine. But if I have to hit, let's say, 4 countries in 2 days on the jet, I like to only take men. And they said, why? I said, well, and it was a joke. We were all sitting on a podcast. I said, well, traveling with a woman's like traveling like kids. They get hungry. They have bags. They need the toilet. With men, it's just military. In, out, boom, no sleep. In, out, boom, no sleep. Pack the bag, no sleep. On the jet, no sleep, no sleep. No, you're going to be military, you can get it done. That's what I said, right?
We have a Marine over here being like,
that's what I said.
Yeah,
When I take my girlfriend, she's like, oh, we haven't slept in 2 days. I'm really, really hungry, Andrew. You it's like, oh, so am I. Shush. Like, it's just different. So, and that gets taken out of context and they don't accept it's a joke. It's a joke. To a degree, it's a joke. I mean, I still mean what I say, but to a degree, it's a joke. The analogy upsets them.
Hey, question for you.
Sure.
How much different, like, the story you told about, one day you come home, your dad comes up to you and says, Andrew, I'll see you in a couple of weeks. And he's out, right? Yeah. In the context of what happens when there's a conflict and we all react in 3 different ways, fight, flight, freeze.
Yeah.
In that context, your dad is flight.
Yeah.
He runs off and says, I don't want to deal with it. I'm out of here. I'm going to do my own thing. Okay. In America, a lot of that is happening right now, where it's a single parent household. Yeah. Kids are being raised without a mom and dad being there. And it's just one mom, mom trying to do both. And these boys, my mom couldn't tell me what to do once my parents got a divorce. Yeah. I'm a single mother raising me. I'm seeing my dad every other week. So it's not like he has direct influence to discipline me until I went into the military. Yeah. How much of that, like if you were to go back and think about, what if your dad didn't take the flight approach? What if your dad took the fight approach? What if your parents were together? Would it have made a difference in you? And how do you view, the idea of fathers being there with mom and dad together, family nucleus? Because a lot of times, the marriage no longer has, the what it once had, kids are better off being raised with a mom and dad. How do you process that yourself? Because you became successful not being in that environment.
Correct.
So do you see this as well? It depends. There's exceptions to the rule. How do you process it?
I think it's a fantastic environment. And I think in an idealistic world, that's the way it would be. I think the reason it's not happening today is that I don't think many men actually benefit from marriages or relationships anymore. And people are always going to have to require some degree of incentive. I think that we've set up the world now in a way where men are seen as worker droids. They're expected to go work all day, come home, clean up as well, share the cleaning with the woman, not have no meal prepared for them, not have any authority over the household, and just be a worker droid and be sad. And I don't think that many people understand that men are intrinsically wired to desire respect amongst our peers and in our environments. This is why CEOs work so hard, because they get respect in their company. This is why we all want so much money and fast cars and status and influence, because we're respected. Men desire respect like we desire oxygen. And if a man's coming home to a household where he doesn't feel any respect, he's not going to want to be there for very long. And I think the way you fix this is you need to understand that many men don't have an incentive to be in the house anymore. I think that it's actually would be quite easy for a woman. In fact, there's a couple women who even say this on YouTube. I can't remember their names, but it'd be quite easy for a woman to make a man really happy with super basic things. Just go up to your husband and say, hey, you know more about this. What do you think about this? That would make most men's world. And there's so many sexless marriages out there with men who work their ass off and they come home to a sexless marriage and kids who don't fucking even like them. If you were to just even ask him his question about some asinine bullshit, a lawnmower purchase, for example, he would feel so happy to feel like the man of the house. That's what men need. They need to feel like all this work I'm putting in, all this shit I'm going through, I'm respected for it. As soon as a man feels like he has no respect, that's the absolute end of a man's interest or a man's tolerance of a situation. I think that's the reason it's happening. I know a lot of men who completely love their wives. They love them with all their heart. They die for her. But he's just not respected in his house. He doesn't get to be the man of the house.
Is it on him or is it on her? Like, does he need to go earn it or is it on her to provide it?
It's a combination of both. I think it's certainly on him to earn it, but also the matrix programming is counter to him. The matrix programming is trying to tell him that he shouldn't be allowed to be the man of the house, that he shouldn't be allowed to have any kind of authority in any regard. He shouldn't be allowed to be able to say what happens. The matrix programming is saying the absolute opposite all the time. And if that's getting into your woman and you don't have that much influence, and that's getting into all your children, you don't have that much influence, now you're coming home to a household where everyone just thinks you're the dude who should just fucking work. You're just a worker droid. You're the slave. You're the robot. And your feelings don't matter and your authority doesn't matter, and get fucked. And this is very conscious. If you watch any Netflix show, The mother is the smart one, and the man is the bumbling idiot. Turn on a show. I dare you, turn on a family show. The mother is the one, hey, calm down, I'm smart. And the man's the like, beer. Watch any of these shows. They're
Family
trying,
Guy, The Simpsons, Married with Children.
any of it, all of it. They're reducing the man to just a bumbling idiot. And it's very hard, I think, for a lot of men to accept being in a position of constant disrespect. I'll tell you this now. If I had to choose a long-lasting marriage with a woman who loved me or a woman who truly respected me, I might choose respect over love, even though they're the same thing for a woman because she loves you, she respects you by default. But if I had to choose, I'd choose respect. I've been through too much and worked too hard and go through too much in day-to-day life to come home to my house and be having battles over asinine bullshit. I take care of you and I love you with all of my heart. I would die for you. If someone broke into this house, I would engage the invader and die. Please just cook dinner, please. Like, what do you want from me? What more can I do for you? Like, and once they feel disrespected, this is another thing about the world that a lot of people don't understand. It's disrespect that will drive a man to the most heinous of crimes. It's disrespect that starts the school shooter bullshit. It's disrespect that makes men go to jail for life sentences. It's disrespect. When you truly disrespect a man in a public and permanent way, that's when they switch. That's why I'm so respectful in public. You don't know who the fuck you're talking to. He might be on his last fucking straw. And you just disrespected, hey, you're a fucking bitch anyway. You're skinny motherfucker. Fuck you. You don't know. That might be the last time he heard it. I've had enough. You don't know. Disrespect is dangerous, right? And in a household where you're constantly and go through too much in day-to-day life to come home to my house and be having battles over asinine bullshit. I take care of you and I love you with all of my heart. I would die for you. If someone broke into this house, I would engage the invader and die. Please just cook dinner, please. Like, what do you want from me? What more can I do for you? Like, and once they feel disrespected, this is another thing about the world that a lot of people don't understand. It's disrespect that will drive a man to the most heinous of crimes. It's disrespect that starts the school shooter bullshit. It's disrespect that makes men go to jail for life sentences. It's disrespect. When you truly disrespect a man in a public and permanent way, that's when they switch. That's why I'm so respectful in public. You don't know who the fuck you're talking to. He might be on his last fucking straw. And you just disrespected, hey, you're a fucking bitch anyway. You're skinny motherfucker. Fuck you. You don't know. That might be the last time he heard it. I've had enough. You don't know. Disrespect is dangerous, right? And in a household where you're constantly disrespecting a man, he's going to end up depressed and sad for even accepting it. Men just want to feel respected. It's not that hard to do. If you truly, I say this to anyone watching this, if you truly love your man, it would be so easy for you to just make him feel respected. It doesn't even take actions. You can do it with basic words. Ask his opinion on something, big him up once in a while. And because we're supposed to be supermen and we purport ourselves as supermen and we're stoic, but we talked earlier about how we still feel everything. So when you're a strong man, especially, they're like, he's fine. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. Be nice to the dude. You'd be surprised how far you get. But this is why I think most men walk out of marriages because they're like, you know what? I'm not getting any respect here. I get more respect from this dickhead stripper, 18-year-old hoe for throwing money at her than I do giving money to my own wife. Where am I being respected? Well, at least she's smiling at me. She ain't smiled at me in years. And it gets to a point where it's just like, well, I want to feel respected now. I'm working my ass off. I'm out here in the streets. I'm going to the sewers and shit. Where's my respect at? And that's what I think it really comes down to. I think men function on respect. And respect is the number one trigger that'll make a man do heinous crimes. And it's also the thing that will make us do the bravest, most honorable things. What did I say about protecting my wife from trying to try to rape her in a situation on the street? I can't respect myself and I won't be respected by society if I don't die. So I will stand and die. I can't say, oh, well, there's three of them. I can't do it because my self-respect and respect of the world. Nah, that's Tate's girl and he ran away. I can't take it. I have to die. I can't live that way. So it's like honor. It's like Hirokari or whatever the Japanese thing with the sword. You can't take the dishonor of losing. Absolutely. They commit suicide. So respect is so intrinsic to men and a lot of society's forgotten this. And that's why I also think my message is resonating because I'm teaching men, look, yeah, your life's shit. Yeah, you need to be respected. Yeah, here's how. Oh, but that's hard. Of course it is. Let's go. So I think that's what it is. So I agree with you. I love the idea. But the reason that it's ending is because in traditionalistic families, the woman respected the man. As soon as the respect's gone, now men don't want to be there anymore. They want to go find a new woman who respects them. Or run around and do dumb shit. Or run around with their boys. Their boys respect them. Women say, why is my man always out in the street? Because on the street he's respected. With his boys, he's something. When he's home, what is he? You don't respect him. He wants to go be amongst the respect. That's why men do the shit they do. It's dangerous shit, life-threatening shit, gang banging. How many times you heard a gangster say, I'll go shoot him, respect, it's my name. It's respect. It's a whole different dynamic. We've forgotten the respect inside of relationships. And this is why so many men are just losing interest completely. And then, yeah, it's a downward spiral. You're completely right. And then the woman's left by herself with the boys. And the boys are trying to get respect somewhere. They end up getting on the street, crime, blah, blah. It's all just downhill from there.
Would you ever consider getting married to one woman and building an actual family nucleus like the traditional way? Would you do it since you don't have to worry about, garnering respect?
That's a good question. It's certainly something I would consider and something I would do. It's not something I'm completely and utterly adverse to. The main problem with me doing it is the way that a lot of legality has been set up. I don't like the way the government's doing things. But let's say I were to get married, I'd get married religiously, perhaps not governmentally.
Sure,
religiously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Religiously. And if I met the right woman, sure, I'd absolutely not do it. But in my marriage, if I meet a woman and I marry her and I take care of her and I make sure she has a fantastic life and I raise her and I nurture her and our children, etc., I'm still always going to be the man who says, listen, I'm away this weekend. And I'm not going to come home to a bunch of fucking yelling. I'm just going to be that guy. I'm away. There's lipstick. Oh, I'm going to give her a white lie. Tristan, I had my shirt on. Some bullshit. Just eat it. Shh. Move on. That's who I am, right? But all in all, yeah, I am completely a proponent for love. I believe in a man loving a woman. I don't think many women understand how deeply men love. Love is real. What's that film? Troy. That was about a chick. The fucking warring tribe, the warring countries. Love is real. It's absolutely a real thing. But what we want in return, more than even love back, is respect. We want to be respected by the woman we love. That's what we want. And I think if the women who truly understand that are the smart ones and also the dangerous ones, because I've met some female players out of Ukraine and Moldova, and they're pretty sharp. They know the game and they know exactly what to do to get the billionaire. And I've seen them pull it off. So I've seen it happen.
It's funny. I'm talking to Magic Johnson. Okay. And this is 6-7 years ago. And the conversation comes up about AIDS, HIV. I said, there's a couple moments as a kid that I clearly remember. One was when Jordan retired. One was when Tupac died. And the other one was when you got HIV, because I'm in LA. I'm like a Magic fan. And I said, when that came out and all the rumors, the past, all this stuff, I said, what made your marriage work? And this is interesting, his answer. He says it very quickly, and I don't even think people caught it. He said, because she's smart. So what do you mean she's smart? Because she's smart. They've been married together till today.
They're still together.
Oh, Magic is still with his wife. I mean, imagine Magic's stories with, Hugh Hefner and the Playboy Mansion and
LA,
the party
80s,
and who he
90s,
was,
before
80s,
social media, I can imagine.
And what he did, but they're still together. Who does the credit go to there? Does the credit go to him? Does it go to her? Who gets the credit? That's what he was saying.
Yeah.
He's saying credit goes to her for the family. Now, some may say, well, look at how the family turned out. Look at the kids, because you see the criticism that comes out one of his sons. It's like, hey, look how this turned out. It looks like it's maybe working out, but you don't yet know the long-term count. Like one day, if you have kids and you decide to bring kids into the world, you're sitting there, you're thinking about the long-term consequences, because you don't know what they're going to pick up, what they're not going to pick up, what they're going to turn against you, what they are going to turn.
It's super interesting because without wanting to tell another long story about my dad, I believe now that I've analyzed that my father sacrificed his marriage for me and Tristan. Because I think that there was times of massive contention with my mother where he was so principled and so concerned with our upbringing as men that he sacrificed his marriage with my mom for us.
He filed a divorce?
Yeah. So I'll give you a very quick example. I'll tell you a very quick story that surmises it. So they were still together when we moved to England. My father was still in America. He came over to visit. And my mom said to me a couple of days before he comes, your dad's coming. We're going to go get a haircut. And I was must have been about 12 or something. Went to get a haircut. We went to our normal hairdresser. Hairdresser wasn't there. Got some other hairdresser. Cut my hair. Whatever. And we got back to the house. And mom's like, I don't like how she cut your hair. She cut your hair wrong. And I'm only 12, right? So I'm like, yeah, she cut my hair wrong. So when my dad came, my dad turns up. He's only there for a couple hours. I haven't seen him in nearly 6 months. I said, oh, yeah. My mom said, I hate the way they cut his hair. And my dad, and I said, yeah, they cut my hair wrong today. And my dad lost his temper. He said, what the fuck are you doing? You're raising my sons to bitches? What the fuck are you talking about haircuts for? I leave you here with my boys and you're talking about, tell them to worry about their haircut? They're fucking men. Who cares about their hair? Their haircut doesn't matter. When they grow into men, no one's going to care what their hair looks like. Their haircuts are stupid. And my mom was like, well, no, Emery, it's just she cut it wrong. Da, da, da. And then my dad was like, listen, I trust you and my boys, and you fucking cut their hair on. So they got in some big argument. So I'd only seen my dad for 3 hours at this point in fucking 6 months. They got in a big argument. My mom kicked him out of the house. So he left the house, right? So he went to the hotel. And then the next day he called me. He goes, I can't come to that house. Your mom doesn't want me there. Come to me. And I came to him and we went to the hairdresser. And I was only 12. So this is a traumatic experience, right? I cried my eyes out. I don't know why I cried, but I was upset. He goes, come with me, boy. I was like, why? He goes, you'll learn when you're older. You're going to understand when you're older. We're going to shave your head. And I was like, I don't want to shave my head. He goes, listen, you're 12. You're a kid. Nobody cares about your hair. Come here. Sent me down the thing. Had my head shaved by the thing. When I went home, my mom went fucking crazy. This is the story she recited to his death about how crazy my dad was. His dad, Emery's crazy. He made him shave his head. He's so crazy. That is so crazy. But when I shaved my head, my dad said, listen, you're going to grow into a man and you're going to learn that there's so many things that society expects of you. And there's so many things that people expect of you. And there's so many things people are going to care about. And the last thing on the list is going to be your haircut. They're not going to give a solitary fuck. And I'm not going to have you being raised thinking your haircut matters. So people always say, oh, why am I bald, right? So I had hair until about 3-4 years ago. And I was remembering this story. So after this story with my mom and father, my mom went nuts, called my dad crazy. He went back to America. So some 3 hours after 6 months because of this haircut thing. Because he was so principled, didn't give a shit. So I was sitting in a hairdresser and I was waiting the guy in front of me and he had his haircut. And the guy in front of me, he goes, oh, I'm finished. And he goes, oh, excuse me, can you just a little bit here and the top, just a little bit in the top and here and here. And I'm sitting there and I'm just on my phone. I'm like, who gives a fuck? A millimeter? Bro, you're ugly anyway, G. Like, the fuck? No one cares. Like, and he messed around for another 10 minutes fucking with his hair. So when it was my turn and I sat down, it wasn't my normal barber. He goes, hey, how'd you want your hair cut? And I remember the story and I just couldn't. I was like, bro, shave it off. Like, I'm a millionaire, kickboxing world champion. Who gives a fuck about my hair? I haven't had hair since. It's like, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it.
You just shave your head.
I just shave it off, yeah. Like, I could grow a full head of hair. I just shave it off.
You could?
Yeah, I could, yeah.
You just prefer to be a bald badass.
No, I did it at that day, and ever since, I've just been like, oh, it's just easy. I can go anywhere. Shave it off, shave it off, shave it off. But that's an example of my father would destroy his relationship with my mother to try and teach me and Tristan things. And I have so many examples of that. Their biggest arguments were almost him being too principled about me and Tristan and my mother trying to be like, Emery, that's crazy. Or Emery, let him go to sleep. Emery, he doesn't want to play chess. Emery, sometimes my dad was like, no, but he is going to be this way. He has my name. So you can leave the house if you want, Eileen. He is doing this. So I think a lot of his relationship breakdown was actually because he was so principled on us, which is quite a unique perspective, I guess. So he sacrificed his marriage, I think, in many ways.
You know what's funny? You always shaved your head for years and years and years and years. You had no hair. Now look at this beautiful head of hair.
How handsome he is.
I would prefer this.
I know you would.
I would prefer this.
But this guy spends $72 to cut his hair every day.
Yeah.
For 5 years, my hair was like that until 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
So what are your thoughts on this
let's transition. Let's transition into you're putting a crew together.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody has running mates. Like this main guys, I use the phrase running mates where Tristan's your running mate, you're his running mate, and then you got other people. So there's levels to running mates, right?
Yeah.
So you got acquaintances, you got, friends, you got best friends, then you got running mates. Running mates is a handful. It's not that many.
Yeah.
And when you create that kind of an environment, there's a very mutual understanding of what the standards are to be at this level. You can go to dinner and shoot the shit and talk to anybody. Hey, and hey, how you doing? Oh, great, man. What's up? How you doing? Man, great, awesome, family good, everybody good, great. And then there's the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one. And, some people try to become too friendly too soon and it's a little awkward.
Yeah.
Let's relax a little bit, let a couple of years go by and then we'll see where this thing goes. Yeah. For your end, what code, not you and Tate, because not you and Tristan, set that one aside. I'm talking about anybody else, non-blood.
Yeah.
And I'm not even talking cousin, by the way. I'm talking non-blood.
Yep.
Anybody that's non-blood, that's in the inner circle of Tate, and it's a handful of people on that list. What are some codes all of you follow that's non-negotiable?
Absolutely. That's a fantastic question, and I know exactly how to answer it. So the first things first is I do not like to hang around with men who suffer from a lack of women, because in my experience, any man who can't get women will eventually sell you out for women. It's too powerful a force. Too powerful a force. If you're completely sex deprived all the time, sooner or later, you're going to sell your boys out for sex, whether it's his ex or some girl talking bad about your boy, but you really want the pussy, so you let her slide. If you're not good with girls, I don't want to talk to you. Second thing is money. You haven't got to be rich, but if you're starving, you're going to try and sneak some money out of somebody, right? If you can't eat, you'll do anything for food. If you can't pay the bills, you do anything for money. That means whether it's a plea bargain, whether it's trying to rob me, whether it's money sitting around my house. I don't want to talk to extremely broke people. I don't want to talk to extremely sex deprived people for the same reason I wouldn't have a whole bunch of food around a hungry person. Same reason. It's the first two things. Next thing is loyalty. And I know that's super hard to judge, but I really like to believe that the few people I hang around with, if we were all in separate police interviews and they were to come and say, hey, your boy turned, I could literally burst out laughing. Say, bro, you better come with a new story, G. You better go away and think about it and come back. Well, we can talk, but don't try that one. Try again. So loyalty is very, very important. Next is bravery, because can't fight is fine, but won't fight isn't. Won't fight is unacceptable on every level. If I'm with my 5 friends and I'm going toilet in the club and I come back and I see someone punch one of my friends, I am annihilating anybody in that guy's crew. We'll find out why later. My guy could have been wrong. It could have been my guy's fault. I'm just hitting him. I'm just knocking everyone. When everyone's asleep and the threat is neutralized, I'm like, bro, the fuck was that? He goes, oh, I started it. I was like, oh, fucking. But
forgiveness later.
First, people have to pay, right? We'll worry about the whys afterwards. So they have to have that loyalty and that devotion to the bravery, the ability to fight. I find it very crazy. I find it crazy, and I say this often to guys. I say, you're rolling around with these men who won't even fight to protect you because they're cowards. So they'll watch you get your head stomped to death and cower out and not even try and help you. And they'll be like, yeah, but he's funny. But he's funny? We're talking about life and death. You're talking about fucking funny? Like, so if I can smell on someone that they wouldn't even attempt, I don't want to be anywhere near them for the same reason. And general professionalism. I've developed a habit where I punish myself for the smallest unprofessional actions. If I misplace my keys or misplace my phone and it takes me more than 10 minutes to find it, I'll punish myself for that. Regardless, whether it's I don't spend money this week or I don't go here or I'm canceling that or I'm going to defer buying something I want to buy. I punish myself religiously so that next time I put my phone down, I know where I put my phone. Next time I put it down, I know where I put it all the time. When I put it down, I know where my phone is. So when I'm around people like, hey, I lost my keys, or hey, bro, I forgot. When I'm around sloppy people, I don't like it. I like people who have their lives in order. When I detect sloppiness, I don't really want them too close to me because gaps are where things sneak in. Other things are basic OPSEC, really basic OPSEC. I like that if I'm around my friends, if I'm ever sitting with my back to a room, this is an enclosed environment, but in a normal restaurant, I never sit with my back to the room. But if I have to do it, I like that I never do it, but if I have to do it, the people I roll with, they'll literally give me a nod. We'll sit down at dinner and I have to sit here. They'll go, and they'll pay extra attention for me because I can't see behind me. I like that level of professionalism. I like that. I like people, like I said, don't get weak, no hangovers, no crying their eyes out, no cowardice. It's infectious. Don't like that around me. No negativity. Don't like that around me. So there's certain things that I create a very, very particular reality. And it's actually interesting because to me, these things are all normal. But when you have these kind of standards, it's pretty hard to find friends. You're like, oh, you're a dumbass. You're a pussy. You're like, and you don't talk to that many people. But if you get a crew together that act that way, it's amazing how, not to get all airy-fairy, but it's almost an intangible. When you have 6 men in one place who are perspicacious, who are paying attention, who do have their things right, who don't lose things, who do it, the whole room can smell it. When me and my crew walk in a room, even if it's almost like an energy. Some guy can be eating his dinner, not even see us walk in and go, 6 predators. It's like the rabbit when the fox comes. Like you can smell when the guys turn up. Do you know what I mean? And everyone's experienced it. Everyone's seen it. So anyone I associate with, I have these very, very stringent metrics. And they're basically just to make sure that nobody gets inspired by something they can't resist to snake us. And also nobody's overly sloppy and allows a way for us to be infiltrated and destroyed. And one of the easiest ways that people, especially in the modern world today, especially people in my position, are infiltrated and destroyed are women. So with women, I create that very heavily. If you get a guy who's thirsty and he's on your crew, let's say I have problems with another crew, let's say, and I know they have a member who's thirsty. That is the easiest job in the world. You get one hot bitch to Instagram message. You're going to find out where they are, what they're doing, where they've been, the hotel room right now. It's fucking done deal. You can do whatever you want to them idiots, right? You got to have guys who can turn that shit down. I've had it a bunch of times in my life where I've been in countries. I was in Sofia, Bulgaria. I was talking to this girl. She's like, hey, 10 out of 10. And I've been talking to her for a few weeks. She's like, hey, let's meet at this place. I'm like, let's go here. No, this is my favorite place. Let's go here. And I was like, no. I'll turn pussy down. I could have been wrong. Could have been right. Could have been right. We're never going to know. I'll turn it down. But if you have that guy in your crew, hey, bro, she's so hot, bro. She's so hot. That's problems for you and him and everyone else. So you got to be very careful with the kind of life you're living. But if you live with people who have their lives in order, it's important. But professionalism is also a really big one. When I see people who are sloppy, it makes me very uncomfortable. Just general sloppiness. I can't explain it. It makes me uncomfortable.
When a girl is your girl, are you telling her anything? Or is it a understanding? Like, hey, listen, these are some things that I follow, and you're either okay with this or you're not, but I'm not compromising these things. Do you have those conversations when a girl is your main girl?
Yeah. So I've had relationships with women for 5 or 6 years, and they never knew my job. And I'll just say to them, look, if you know things, even though I don't do anything wrong, but if you know even who I associate with, if you know things, then you have to lie. Why isn't it easier if you just don't know? Then you got to lie. Right? So I'm working. What's work? Work's work. You're on a jet.
You're on a jet.
Enjoy the jet. Right? So I keep certain things from them because it makes it easier than them having to worry about a false narrative or a lie in the event of whatever. Or if we break up, then what? Right? So I'm very careful of that. I'm very, very careful who I talk around as well. Like if there's random, like on the yacht, me, Tristan, and my cousin, we were just with 30 girls on the yacht. We didn't talk business once. We talked business one night when everyone was asleep. A couple times, like Luke went to go, hey man, I'll message you. We'll be sitting in the same room. What's happening? This is people. Loose lips sink ships. Doesn't matter if you're doing nothing wrong. You gotta be careful who you're talking around. They listening to shit. And in the modern world, they record shit. Like you don't want to, even if it's a 0.1% chance, but what's the upside? Like there's no upside. Yep. So why take the 1% chance? Risk reward. I'm very, very careful. And especially with women, not because they're necessarily malicious, but because women in general don't have to worry about the certain things I'm talking about in terms of professionalism. There's a whole bunch of beautiful, smart, great women out there who just go through life and they're just Instagramming everywhere they go and they forgot their keys and do. And if she's too close to your circle, it's just an in. It's an in to get you. And you got to be careful. And it's amazing whether it's the 1970s Soviet spies or the 2022 mafia. When they want to get a dude, it's a chick. You either send a new chick or you watch his old chick or you find his girlfriend. Even a bounty hunter today. Let's say I was wanted by the police and they couldn't find me. Who's his girl? Bet he's gone there. Bet he needs some sex. Go put a car there. Every time. Every fucking time. You got to keep this shit in order. And the women I associate with have enough respect for me to go, okay, I don't know. Fine. Just, I love you too. When they arrested El Chapo's girl, didn't you say I didn't know he was a criminal? I thought he was a chef or some shit. I was like, perfect. She doesn't even know I lie anymore. He's a chef. He told me he's a chef. He's a chef.
He's a billionaire chef.
He's a chef. Dude's a chef. I don't know. The guy's a chef. So, and it's actually interesting because a lot of men want to brag to women because we want to show status. So you want to sit there and brag about all the good things you do, but there is a downside to that. There is a degree of downside. I was in Moldova. No, I take that back. I was in Constanta, Romania 9 years ago before I moved there. And I was in a club and I must have been the only foreign person in the club. And there was a 11 out of 10 Moldovan girl, the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen. And I went over and I tried to talk to her and she said, yeah, I only drink champagne. And at the time I didn't have that much money. I said, I only drink champagne. Well, I'm finished drinking for the night, but it's very nice to meet you because I couldn't afford a bottle of champagne. So I had to style it. So I was like, I don't have any, I said, I'll finish drinking for the night, but it's very nice to meet you. What's your name? Okay, nice to meet you. Goodbye. Left the club, whatever. Next day I came, I saw her on this table, champagne show. Next table, champagne show. And while she was doing all this, we were kind of catching each other's eye, looking a little bit, And a couple times I caught her at lunch. Constanta's like a beach town. I caught her at lunch. I spoke to her a little bit. And she kept asking me for champagne. I was like, listen, you are absolutely gorgeous. I think you and I are going to have a long and happy future together, but I'm not going to buy you champagne. I'll tell you why later. I put mystery on it. So I can't tell you broke, right? You got to put mystery spin. So I'm going to tell you why I don't buy champagne later. It's a long and interesting story. Once I can trust you, I'm going to tell you why I won't buy you champagne. You can trust me now. I will tell you. Not yet. Styling off. Anyway, as we got to know each other across the summer, eventually when we became friends, she came clean. She works for the club. She gets commission on champagne. Of course. The girls in the club, you're buying champagne for this thing. She gets a commission per bottle. What was interesting is this. She had on her phone a system. So she'd meet you. You'd buy her drinks the first night. You'd go a separate date. The second night, you'd buy her drinks. Third day, she'd send a pre-decide already in her notes how you live far away and she can't fall in love again. She's only been with one man her whole life. She falls in love with you. She's going to have her heart broken and she's scared. And then she'll ghost you for 3 days. Then eventually after begging, you'll get her back, but she wants to come, but not on her own because she's scared. She wants to bring 3 friends and she'll go to this restaurant. She wants to drink this champagne. Boom, boom. Commission. And she'll show me in her Facebook message, every dude, playbook, every fucking guy, one after another, every night of the week, all just falling for the playbook. She goes, you're the only guy who never bought me champagne. I was like, yeah, well, I didn't tell her I didn't have any money. I was just and I was like, I've been around the world. I know some things. So anyway, I played it off. And she was sitting there telling me, and when she was going through it, it was scary to me. She goes, yeah, this guy on Facebook, yeah, he's from Turkey and he does private airplanes and da-da-da-da-da. And this guy, she's telling all their jobs, the money they're making, where they live, the town they're in. Because these dudes are sitting there talking, I'm so rich, baby, I'm so rich. You want champagne? I got it. I do this. And I was sitting there thinking, whichever mall boss picks this girl up is going to have a whole bunch of targets to go robbing all night long. Because dudes just can't shut the fuck up. And this was when I was 24, 25. Ever since then, I style it off. What's your job? Oh, I work. It depends where I am. If I'm like in Romania, I say I make papanash, which is a Romanian donut. It's a national food.
You're the donut guy.
I say I make papanash, baby. So papanash, like I'm number one. I just style off. None of them know my job. None of them know what I do. None of them know because you don't know.
Papanash.
You don't know. They know. So yeah, I'm very, very careful when it comes to talking to women for that reason.
So that was a lot of so. It's funny because when we met. One of your lady with you last night, she stood there. Hi, this is my wife. Yeah. Didn't say anything. Yeah. No this, no nothing. Distance, didn't approach. Yeah. Didn't even entertain conversation.
Yep.
It's not even something that was going to happen.
Yep.
It's common in the Muslim community.
It is,
when
yes.
That's why I asked you earlier if there were anybody that had any influence over you on the Muslim side.
Yeah, she is by coincidence Islamic. She is Muslim.
Okay.
She's half Turkish, half Romanian. But a lot of my women are kind of similar. They're like, oh, hi. And they don't really talk too much. And that's just something I've asked them to do in a very polite way. Say, look, I talk to lots of people. And you guys are fine, right? But I'll tell the truth. I say, I talk to a lot of unsavory people. I have a lot of people who know me, whose hands I shake, who are bad people. They don't need to know too much about you. I don't even really want them to see you. If it's unfortunate and they catch me on the street and you're with me, that's a bad time. I wish it didn't happen. The last thing you need to be doing is going and saying, hello, my name is this. Just don't talk to nobody. And by extension, it's the same thing with violence. I had a conversation with my girls as well. My girls are completely trained. I said, listen, if I'm ever attacked or anything ever happens to me, run, scream and run. Don't be trying to get in the way or say, don't hit him or some bullshit. Just fucking leave. Because I know dudes don't care that you're a chick. You got to get out of here. So I try and be as protective as possible. I'm not trying to be controlling. I just try and protect them from situations. Just say hi, be polite, hi. Don't say your name. Don't go over there. Oh, I knew him from here. Yeah. We've been together this long. I'm from this country. Just leave it. And some people can find it weird and rude, but I think I can, overall, the people I know, and I can style it off and they can understand why it is that way. And it's just a better dynamic for me as a whole.
I respect it, And then you said loyalty. You said you don't need to know how to fight, but you have to be willing to fight.
Absolutely.
And if one code I had a friend of mine who I told him, I said, listen, guys, here's how I roll. I said, if your girl breaks up with you, she calls me, I have nothing to talk to her about.
Absolutely.
I said, if my girl breaks up with me and you're talking to her, you have nothing to talk to her about.
Absolutely.
Zero. Because the number one revenge is to get with a friend to do that. I said, yeah. So one time, a guy his girl contacts me, and one after another. And I just finally said, we have nothing to talk about.
Absolutely.
He's the relationship, not you.
Absolutely.
Some of these things, it's
and that comes from a lack of thirst, right? You have a thirsty dude.
Yeah.
What happens there, right?
But it's also a filtering process, because once you see it, you're kind of like, yeah, that's not going to be a long-term relationship. There's the loose lip situation. I had an assistant that every time I'm working on a big announcement that I'm about to announce to everybody in the company, a certain departments, when I said, there's no way you could know this announcement. Yeah. How do you know this announcement? Keynote speaker, I'm launching Kobe Bryant. One person asked, how do you know this? Yeah. How do you know we're announcing Kobe Bryant as a keynote speaker, late Kobe Bryant? Finally, I'm like, you can't be my assistant.
Yeah.
Because even though you get excited, you got to keep it to yourself. This isn't anybody else's business.
Yep.
This is, if you're on the inside, you're on the inside. Nothing leaks to anybody else, no matter what business dealings.
And this is the thing about emotionality, because you just nailed it. Even with the best possible intentions, if people are excitable, they're manipulatable and they can be used. This is why stoicism is so important. Let's imagine in a hypothetical situation, you guys were to hand me $1 million cash right I would sit and think, I'd say, thank you. And I'd sit and think, am I going to get out of this building alive? I wouldn't be like, wow, $1 million. Oh, I wouldn't get excited. I'd be like, that's unusual. Fuck. That's what I think. I'd poker face it, but that's what would go through my brain. Because if I was excitable, wow, $1 million, and you'll give me more? Wow, that boom. That's the end of the game, right? You can't be excitable. There's a time and a place when you're with very, very select people in very, very private environments, you can be excitable. But otherwise, yeah, you're right. People get excited and they talk too much and they get happy and da-da-da. And it's fine at a certain echelon, but once you reach the upper echelons of life, you have to really start analyzing risk reward, especially in the modern world. Especially, look at me now, right? I just took a huge risk. I'm a misogynist and I'm evil, and I just want a boat with 30 girls. If one of them were to have turned on me, imagine the bullshit that would have come out. That's a risk. And I had to analyze the risk, had a conversation with all the girls in advance, made it clear they all had their own separate bedrooms, that operate extremely professionally, CCTV on the boat. I couldn't just be some jackass. Let's all just go get drunk. Let me see everyone get drunk at a sex fest. You have to be pro. You have to be professional about things. And the sloppy guy wouldn't have done that in my position. He was going, hey, I got a boat, I got girls, I got booze, I got money. It's the end of the game. So you got to be smart.
It's easier said than done.
It's easier said than done.
Control the emotions when it comes down to things like that. Musk, you hear a story about Musk where his dad told him the most important role a man has is to populate.
Yep.
Right? And he's got what? I think he's got 10 kids now? 8 kids now? Did you see he just had another set of twins?
Some ridiculous amount of number, but he's trying to repopulate the planet and or Mars.
Yeah, this is
10 kids.
10 kids? He's got 10 kids. Yeah. You're talking about the richest man in the world, possibly one of the smartest brains in the world, one of the best trolls in the world, one of the most necessary forces in the world, where the people that are not fans of you, can't stand him. That's enemy to state number one. They don't like the fact that he can just drop $44 billion and to be able to buy Twitter or do anything he's doing. What do you think about Elon Musk?
Man, I love Elon. And I love that he is a man of purpose. And I have so much respect for men of purpose. Most people who get his kind of paycheck whenever he got it in the 90s would have just cashed out hedonism and bullshit. He decided to risk it all again to try and achieve the most impossible things. That's how you got to where you are. That's how I got to where I am. When you have enough to stop, but you don't stop. For some reason, there's some new mountain to climb. And that is what's beautiful about men as a whole. All of the exploration on the planet, the deep sea, Antarctica, Mount Everest, all of it was a man who had enough and thought, no, I'm going to go anyway. And that's who Elon is. So I have so much respect for him because he doesn't need to do any of the stuff he's doing. And he's adopting the biggest problems in the world and all the headache that comes with it. You're right. All the heat and all the dislike and all the pressure, he's adopting it anyway. And those are the kind of men we need more of. The men who say, you know what? Yeah, I do have enough. It's not about enough.
Who are some guys that you would put in that level with Musk, like Musk?
Well, Musk is Musk, right?
He's the pinnacle, but who else would you put in that space?
I have respect for anyone who's kind of similar. I'm trying to think of people who I idolize and really look up to. Some of them are fighters. Like I always loved Mayweather. I think Mayweather's the best boxer in history.
Really?
Yeah, I liked Mayweather. I was a huge fan.
Best boxer in history.
Yeah.
Ahead of Ali.
Yeah. I mean, Ali's Ali, right? But Mayweather's never lost. He's never lost to anybody. And I liked him because he was so clinical and so precise. And he took his ego out of it and said, I want to have a longer career than everyone else. So I'm going to focus on not getting hit and hitting him. I may not get the knockout. I don't need the knockout. I've won. Just win, clinical, chess. Win, payday. Win, payday. Your fight was boring. 100 bill, whatever. 100 mil, whatever. Yeah, boring. Cool. Next, win. He was really smart. So I like Mayweather. He's someone I've always looked up to and I really respect. That's a really good question. I think that it's kind of difficult now in the world because also a lot of the people who are propagated to the top and perpetuated into absolute global stardom, I'm not sure if all of them have done it through good intentions. We can look at the things we said from Logan earlier, etc. But I think even now, I have the most respect for the common man. I think I have so much respect for the common man. I say it all the time to Tristan. Me and him will have our most in-depth conversations when we're in a S-class on our way to the private jet and we see a street sweeper at 3 a.m. in Romania knowing he's getting $200 a month. And me and T will look at him and go, I respect that. Like, it just, man, there are so many people out here just living hard lives. And I have so much respect for them. And we can talk about the ones who make it, but there's so many people who don't make it. And that's difficult. And I have so many stories. I don't want to tell any more stories because I can go on forever. But even little things I do, like at buffets, nobody ever compliments the chef at buffets. So whenever I go to a buffet, I try and say, bro, did you cook this? This is great. I did it in Cyprus at some resort. I swear, like I gave him $1 million, smile on his face. He'd never been complimented in 15 years of cooking meatballs. He was the happiest man in the world because he just slaves away for fucking nothing. And I think a lot of people are out here just giving their life force up for nothing in return.
He wanted respect.
He wanted respect, and I gave him a little bit for some meatballs, and I could tell he'd never been complimented in history. Most people would say, hey, where's the plates? You know, so I have respect for the common man, anyone who's out here doing what they have to do. There's no such thing, and I know I have a lot of money, but there's no such thing as shameful work. If you're a man and you're getting up and you're working, doesn't matter what it is, we need people who do these jobs, and I have absolute respect for you. And when I talk about escaping the matrix, I'm not saying that, you know, if you're working a normal job, you suck. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you want to live the life I live and you want to have all the things I have, then you have to escape. Of course, it's going to be difficult, but I have absolute respect for anyone who gets up in the morning and faces their demons and gets it done, because life as a man is fucking hard. It is really hard to do.
Final topic before we wrap up.
Sure.
America. Do you follow the political climate in the U.S.?
I have recently become apolitical. I have so little faith in either side of the system that I am now absolutely and utterly apolitical. I do not have any opinions on anything. I'm an apolitical person because I feel like it's two sides of the same coin. That's my view.
Doesn't matter who it is.
I don't
Left, right, middle, it's the same thing.
I think from an ideological perspective, it's nice to have certain figures because it certainly inspires the morale of the sensible as opposed to the morale of the insane. I believe that. However, I believe that the power structures are set up in such a way that the president doesn't truly matter. I don't know if you saw, there's an interview with Putin when Trump first became president. You can find it on YouTube. And he said something very interesting. And they said, what do you think about Trump? Trump has all these ideas about Russia and how he wants to change the world, etc. And Putin said, I think he said 4. I've sat through 4 US presidents so far. They all come with very interesting ideas. And then the men with the black suits and the briefcases come and explain to them how things are done. And then they leave and I'm still here and nothing really changes. Putin said it. Putin understands. And I think for this reason, winning a vote is nice to say ha-ha to the other side. Winning a vote is nice to say, look, there's still some common sense in the world. It's certainly a morale boost from the actual skin and bones, from the actual blood and grit of how it would change society. I don't think it changes anything. And for that reason, and because I don't want to be suicided, I am absolutely not apolitical. I'm apolitical.
Do you put him as the most powerful man in the world, Putin? Is he at the top, or you put Xi ahead of him?
My view on Putin is very controversial. Do I wrap this up with this? I think Putin is misunderstood. I think he's a misunderstood man. I think that he's been in power for a very long time. I think he's extremely smart. I think he genuinely cares about Russia and Russians above other countries. We're living in a world now where it's very interesting to see European leaders self-implode and self-destruct their own gas prices, their own governments, their own businesses, their own populace's living standards because of some idealistic notion that they need to help a nation that they have no direct link to. If I'm a leader of X country, I should be concerned about X country more than I'm concerned about the plight of whatever country. That's my duty and job. I think it's very interesting that most politicians in the world today don't seem to give a shit at all about their constituents. They care about aligning themselves to higher ideologies and self-imploding their own countries and the living standards for this ideology.
Yeah.
Putin doesn't do that. It's Russia first, Russia. Russians, Russia. Russians, Russian. And for that, I respect him. Most other countries don't do that and won't do that. So I find that very, very interesting about him. I think the current situation is absolutely and utterly unfortunate. I think what happened is terrible. War on all sides is always terrible. I think it's unfair that we discussed Ukraine at length when this has been happening across the Middle East and Africa for decades and nobody ever gave a shit. But now people seem to give a shit about proxy wars and unfair conflicts and people dying. It's always been happening and nobody cared because they're brown or black. But now we care because they're white Europeans and their chicks are hot. So I think there's a degree of hypocrisy there. He's certainly not the bad guy everyone's saying he is. He has a point, and his point is logical and it makes sense, and he has a point to defend. And I think that to a degree he was forced into make the moves he was made. And
do you have a unique perspective with Ukraine being a neighboring of your Romania and like Zelensky and Putin going back and forward?
It is unique. Yeah. Like there's obviously good and bad on both sides. Nobody's completely innocent. And those are the worst kind of conflicts because when you have a good guy and a bad guy, it's simple, right? But life's never that simple. Guy A has some good points and some bad points. Guy B has some good points and some bad points. Innocents always suffer in the end. The people at the top don't even suffer. And it's really unfortunate. War has always been the same. World War II is the same. The generals sit and have dinner after millions have been massacred. It's unfortunate. And this is another thing I talk about, life as a man and status. If you get to become a general, you know, you can participate in the battle, but if you lose, you just surrender and you have to have a steak with the Russians and get to go home. If you're at the bottom, you have to die with an artillery shell. So it's all, once again, about status. It's really unfortunate, but I certainly think that Putin is definitely not a stupid man. And I think the narrative that they point that he's some madman is bullshit. He's not crazy. He's not a madman. He's a very logical actor with points that not many people know or consider or understand why he's doing what he does. But I respect that he believes in Russia and sticks up for Russians. And I think that any leader of any country should do that. I think I'm apolitical now, so I can't remember his name. But there was a recent president of the United States who said America first. And I think that anybody who prioritizes their own populace over the other populations of the world should do exactly that. I think that's their job. I think to do anything else is irresponsible. I think the Russians do it, the Chinese do it, the Indians do it. All the other superpowers to come are going to do that. And as long as you're in charge of a country and you decide to vacate the needs of your own populace to please some crazy ideology, wherever it will be, it makes you non-competitive. And on a long enough time frame, you're going to lose. And that's how empires fall.
It would be very interesting if you were to have a sit down with this one president. They said America first. I don't know who you're referencing, but obviously
I can't remember his name.
I forgot. I know, but if it would happen to be interesting. I don't know how long this is. Is it almost 5 hours or no? We've been going for a few hours. Okay, it feels like 5 minutes. But to the audience, some people maybe for the first time they're hearing you. Some of them are following you no matter what you say. They're going to follow the content. At this point, coming up, upbringing, band, today, is there any specific belief system you follow?
I'm glad you asked that because when they attacked me, when the Matrix attacked me, they said that I purport misogyny and I believe in chauvinistic principles and all this absolute garbage. And when they said that about me, I understood it's very important that I create a list and explain to the world exactly what I believe. So without looking unprofessional, I've written it down. I would like to actually say I've written 41 tenets of thing I believe in. And if you hear any that you disagree
41
with.
tenets.
41 tenets.
Interesting.
If you disagree with any of them, I would love to hear feedback on any of them. So these are the 41 things I believe in most. And before I read out this framework, it doesn't matter if you are a Muslim, a Christian. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, weak or strong. I think if any man lives true to these tenets, they're going to have a fantastic relationship with life. And also they're going to be a good force and good influence for people around them. And I think that all in all, they're going to enjoy their experience, their human experience, and the people close to them will also enjoy their presence. So that's what this is about. These are the 41 things I believe in. So here we go. I believe that men have the divine imperative to become as capable, powerful, and competent as possible in this life. I reserve my human right to hold my own beliefs and practice them as I see fit and allow other people the same right to believe and act as they wish. I prefer loving, rewarding, consensual relationships with beautiful, positive, and virtuous women. I believe men and women are different and that each has their own unique and important strengths and abilities. I believe men have the sacred duty to protect and provide for the important people in their lives. I believe men have the sacred duty to protect the innocence and sanctity of their children and reserve the right and responsibility to raise their children as they see best to ensure their long-term happiness and success. I believe that men have the sacred duty to raise strong, capable, and honorable sons. I believe that men have the sacred duty to raise kind, feminine, and virtuous daughters. I utterly disapprove of violence within romantic or familiar relationships. I support good and honest governments and will obey their laws. I prefer to only conduct business dealings with trusted and vetted brothers. I believe that a man has the sacred duty to hold true to his word and do exactly what he says he will do. I believe that a man's life is difficult and that he has the sacred duty to become strong to handle such difficulty. I believe men are personally responsible for their actions and for the results they achieve in their lives. I believe in emotional control and the vital need to become disciplined and professional in all things. I believe that men have the sacred duty to approach everything in life from a position of strength. I believe that all men have the sacred duty to become men of upright and virtuous character and live above all possible reproach. I believe it is incumbent upon me to ruthlessly identify my own weaknesses and limitations, and I eagerly work to overcome them and become more capable in all realms. I seek to improve my personal freedom to think, act, and live true to my masculine imperative in all ways. I believe each man has a sacred duty to mold the physical body into the strongest, most resilient, and most capable version of itself. I believe that men have the sacred duty to rigorously train themselves, both physically and mentally, every day. I believe that I have the sacred duty to only eat the highest quality foods possible. I reserve the right to protect the sanctity of my bloodstream and make my own decisions about medical care and procedures. I affirm the importance of endlessly improving my mental faculties through diligent work, study, and practice. I believe in acquiring wealth and abundance in order to improve my life and do good for those I care about. I believe in the merits of healthy competition and constantly encourage all men to seek out competition to improve themselves. I believe that masculine brotherhood is essential to men's mental health, happiness, and success. And I relentlessly encourage men to meet together, train together, and work together. I maintain the trust of my brothers through reverent silence regarding our most sacred and shared experiences. I believe in honoring my ancestors and living in a way that would make most of them proud of me today. I reserve the right to administer difficult rites of passage for our young men to allow them to earn the rank of manhood. I affirm the importance and need for travel and adventure as men. I seek to help men overcome poor mental health through embracing hard work, physical improvements, and shared masculine brotherhood. I reserve the right to make the best choices I can at the time to protect myself and respect my mental health. I do good in the world and seek to help those less fortunate. I believe all men have the responsibility to lead and guide those they care about for greater health, prosperity, and happiness. I choose to only interact with those who are respectful and civil to me in return for my own respectfulness and civility. I reserve the freedom to speak and refer to others as I believe is best and most truthful. I reserve the right to choose my company and include only those whom I believe are best for my health, happiness, and success. I believe I have an imperative to only spend my time in a way that I determine is beneficial, uplifting, and empowering to myself and others. I choose to only allow myself to be influenced by those who I believe have my best interests in mind. And the final one, each day I dedicate myself anew to create the greatest possible positive impact on the world and do the work necessary to achieve a greater masculine excellence across all realms of human endeavor. Those are the 41 things.
Powerful.
Thank you.
When did you write that?
I wrote this last night, about half of them, and the other half on the way here.
Wow.
You said last night you
Yes.
came up with this?
Yeah, I decided to explain exactly my beliefs. So these are the 41 tenets I believe in, and I think they can apply to any man on the planet. And if a man lives true to these, it's going to be beneficial for both him and everybody who loves him and the world as a whole. I don't think it's possible to find a negative connotation to any of those 41 tenets. That's what I personally think.
Powerful, man.
Thank you.
This has been incredible, sitting down with you and, at a time like this, long.
My procedures. I affirm to handle such difficulty, protect the innocence and sanctity of their children, and reserve the right and responsibility.
Interesting.
If you disagree with any of them, I would love to hear feedback on any of them. So these are the 41 things I believe in most. And before I read out this framework, it doesn't matter if you are a Muslim, a Christian. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, weak or strong. I think if any man lives true to these tenets, they're going to have a fantastic relationship with life. And also they're going to be a good force and good influence for people around them. And I think that all in all, they're going to enjoy their experience, their human experience, and the people close to them will also enjoy their presence. So that's what this is about. These are the 41 things I believe in. So here we go. I believe that men have the divine imperative to become as capable, powerful, and competent as possible in this life. I reserve my human right to hold my own beliefs and practice them as I see fit and allow other people the same right to believe and act as they wish. I prefer loving, rewarding, consensual relationships with beautiful, positive, and virtuous women. I believe men and women are different and that each has their own unique and important strengths and abilities. I believe men have the sacred duty to protect and provide for the important people in their lives. I believe men have the sacred duty to protect the innocence and sanctity of their children and reserve the right and responsibility to raise their children as they see best to ensure their long-term happiness and success. I believe that men have the sacred duty to raise strong, capable, and honorable sons. I believe that men have the sacred duty to raise kind, feminine, and virtuous daughters. I utterly disapprove of violence within romantic or familiar relationships. I support good and honest governments and will obey their laws. I prefer to only conduct business dealings with trusted and vetted brothers. I believe that a man has the sacred duty to hold true to his word and do exactly what he says he will do. I believe that a man's life is difficult and that he has the sacred duty to become strong to handle such difficulty. I believe men are personally responsible for their actions and for the results they achieve in their lives. I believe in emotional control and the vital need to become disciplined to handle such difficulty. I believe men are personally responsible